This is a playground for the most extraordinary horses we've ever known.
Super Impact driving. Lights McLaren. Braddock Tangador wins the Cox Plate. Cox Plate.
The Ladbrokes Cox Plate. It's Australia's best race.
Hello and welcome to the Ladbrokes Cox Plate preview show. Adam Hamilton with you, joined by breeder extraordinaire and a real favourite of ours at Ladbrokes in Anthony Mithen. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks, Adam. And it's a privilege to be here at Moonee Valley for the Ladbrokes Cox Plate. Although race not run today, it's great to be here at the Valley of Excitement on such a big week.
Also joining us is the best race caller in the business, Matty Hill, and this is Cox Plate number 5 for you. Is there anything different because it's such a big race in your build-up to it?
Hi, Adam. Nice to see everybody. I think there is a little bit. There's that extra retention, obviously, with the Cox Plate. It's such an important race, and it's a race that'll be replayed for the next 100 years. I mean, how many times have we seen Bill Collins' Bone Crusher, our Waverley Star, and you're always aware of that, and you're always aware that something special is about to happen. But fundamentally, my job is there's 2 minutes of sport out there, and I've just got to call what I see.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, let's chat about, we know what the barriers look like. We've seen the final field and the opening markets for it. But a talking point, is there something that jumps out at you?
Yeah, look, I'm really looking forward to seeing the first of the internationals. Gold Trip, State of Rest, and I suppose we can throw in Callsign Mav, can't we, from over the ditch? So we haven't seen the internationals. It's been a bit tricky for them to get to Victoria to race in the Spring Carnival. So I'm really excited to see what they bring and the extra dimension of this Ladbrokes Cox Plate.
Matty?
For me, Zaki. I think the fact that the horse was beaten last time, and I think there's a fair excuse for that at Caulfield. I think just adds extra theatre to it. Could have been called over the line 3 or 4 weeks ago, not so much now.
But it is a race of question marks, isn't it? Where's Zaki at? Where's Verry Elleegant at? Is a 3-year-old in Anamoe or even Captivant good enough to beat these horses, and the question marks around the internationals as well? Well, to have a look at the barriers and the latest market, we welcome in Mr. Ladbrokes Lab himself, Cam Luke. You've mastered this machine like no one else. Cam,
well, I built it, Hamo, so you'd think I'd be able to master it, but no, of course.
You invented television.
I invented the touchscreen for Ladbrokes. Someone else got the TV and I did the rest. It's always interesting, and Cox Plate is interesting because you get to choose what barrier you want when you're left standing, and Zaki is the favourite. We'll get to the market in a moment. Barrier 6, I think that's perfect. Anamoe off that Caulfield Guineas win. Funnily enough, the same conversation almost that we had prior to the Caulfield Guineas. Where do you go from that wider gate? This time it's Craig Williams, Verry Elleegant, Australian Racehorse of the Year. And a little bit forgotten, but I don't think that'll happen for much longer. She's drawn outside as well. This will be the big gate for me. I'll explain a little bit later when it comes to the settle group. But the other 3-year-old Captivant from the inside alley. Talking to market, well, it always changes. When we get the barriers, it changes. Also, a nice spin around Moonee Valley at Breakfast with the Best helps, which is why Zaki is now $2.80, firmed in a little bit. Anamoe's a bit easy at $4.20. Verry Elleegant, 8's in the $7.50. Gold Trip. Mitho, you mentioned the internationals. Here's 2 of them, keeping safe right now at $9. Probabile, well, beat Zaki a couple of weeks ago at the $15 mark. There's the 3-year-old Captivant. Mounga, 23's into 17, the second stringer for Annabelle Neesham. Dalasan, he's going to win a Group 1 this spring, Dalasan. It won't be this one, but he's at 34s. And obviously, Callsign Mav, who is extremely important to the race at $51. But that's how the market is looking at Ladbrokes after Breakfast with the Best and the barrier draw.
And we're going to get back to you a lot through the show. You're going to have some special guests and you're going to have a go at how the race might be run as well.
Caught up with Michael Brow, the CEO, have a chat about not just Saturday, but Friday night also with the Manikato Stakes. And Marty Synan, the track manager, and I, well, we walked the track, and I just pointed out a couple of things you need to work on over the next couple of days.
Grass is green.
And the settle grid not too far away. Boys.
Good on you, Cam. All right, well, let's get into our runner-by-runner. And we're going to start with Zaki for all of the reasons that Matty Hill just mentioned. Is he the one to beat in your mind, Mitho?
Oh, look, he's got to be. Is he Australia's best racehorse? We were talking about that 3 weeks ago and had him absolutely pegged. One bad run, does that tarnish the gloss, maybe. Thought his gallop here on Saturday was interesting. Didn't think he really handled the track, but then breakfast with the best, he put his best foot forward, he got his mojo back, he put his mind to the job and was excellent. So big tick there. He's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, he certainly looked very sharp in the second of those gallops, didn't he, Matt?
Yeah, no doubt. There's an element of timing about Zaki as well. I noticed at Sandown he was a bit fizzed up going out onto the track. I love the way when a horse just went up underneath him, he got up on the bit, he wants to race, and that's why I think the Caulfield run was just really a look around. It was his semi-final. Obviously, Craig Williams was told, don't knock him around. He's got a big final coming up at Moonee Valley, and as a result, sat third, and they genuinely found a way to beat him by out-sprinting him late. I think McDonald will be a lot more proactive. I think he'll be up in the top 3 on the first turn. They'll ride him like the best horse in the race, and I think he'll win it.
I want to look at the star 3-year-old, the Caulfield Guineas winner next in Anamoe. Of course, 2013 Seamus Award was able to surprise us a little bit and lead throughout and win. Before that, So You Think, as a 3-year-old back in 2009. Again, a little bit of a surprise on that occasion. Neither of those, Mitho, had won the Guineas going into it. So does that make Anamoe more of a good thing?
Well, maybe. It depends. I'm going to be really interested in Cam's speed map and where everything's going to settle, because Anamoe, to me, from a breeding point of view, he's by a speed stallion in Street Boss. I had my queries about him running out the strong mile. Well, he put that to bed, and suddenly the female pedigree kicks in for Anamoe. He's out of Anamoe, who was an Oaks winner, and I think that stamina is going to be really important around here at the Valley. Is he good enough to join that illustrious list of 3-year-olds? Well, time will tell.
It's interesting because we do it every year. You know, is the Derby strong? Is the Caulfield Guineas strong? I was leaning maybe towards a weaker Guineas this time around, but that Sydney form was very strong from the Golden Rose, etc. I think it'll stand up. It's just the early stages where Anamoe's going to get to is the big question.
Before we roll on and look at some other runners and get to many of our guests as well, we'll be speaking to Chris Waller. We'll be going to Hugh Bowman as well to get his thoughts on Moonga going into it. But I want to pose a question to you about this great race. We're here at the Valley. In just a few days, you know, we're going to see this magnificent race. Why is the Ladbrokes Cox Plate Australia's best race, Matt?
It's Australia's best race because if you were trying to get the absolute elite on a racetrack, would you put them on a 1,700-metre oval track with a 200-metre home straight and cambers? And would you do it? You probably wouldn't if you were starting from scratch. But the best horses win it. If you notice that, the best horses get round Moonee Valley, and it's always run differently, the Cox Plate, like Maldivian led all the way in what was a real sedate gallop, and then we've had the fast, furious Cox Plates like Superimposer's year. So the jockeys have to think about it. It's the absolute best of the best, and that's why it is Australia's best race.
It's Australia's best race because of the people. Ads, I feel this in my waters when you go to big-time sporting events. It's not necessarily about the footballers or the soccer players or the tennis players or even the equine athletes that put on the show. It's about the people that come together to rejoice in the moment that is the best. This is the best. This is the cauldron, and I can't wait. There's a little bit of tinge of sadness after last year and this year. The people don't get here, but I can't wait for the absolute eruption of this cauldron in 2022. Can you imagine?
Oh, it'll be fantastic. And hey, he's getting on, so his waters are becoming a bit more frequent.
I agree about the people as well. 1983 was the first time I was trackside when Strawberry Road won, and I was absolutely hooked from that moment on for the Ladbrokes Cox Plate. We're going to take a short break, but stay with us. We've got Chris Waller coming up, and we're going to find how the track looks in the countdown to the race with Marty Synan.
3 tyres.
Like a blended bet on the Ladbrokes app.
You get more winning chances in the same race.
Ladbrokes this Cox Plate Carnival with a blended bet. Gamble responsibly.
Marty, Cox Plate number 38. Remarkable.
Yeah, no, it is. Bit less hair now, but yeah, 38th Cox Plate, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, we're walking here. Breakfast with the best this week. The track looks in good condition. What is it from now until Saturday?
We'll just repair the track on the outside here from the gallops on Tuesday morning, and then we'll put 5 mil irrigation on tonight. Just looking at the forecast, they're saying we are going to get some rain Friday, Saturday, so we're just going to put the 5 mil on just to keep it in that good 4 range, and then we'll start off from there.
Now, as racing fans and as punters, the bomb's continually wrong and it frustrates us. But it complicates your job, right?
Yeah, exactly right. They've given us a forecast of 0 to 10 mil on Friday and then 0 to 10 mil on Saturday. So we're either going to get nothing or we're going to get 20 mil. So it does make it a little bit difficult. But like I said, if we get the rain, I think we'll be right. The track has copped the rain in the last couple of weeks. We've had some pretty heavy showers. So with that, I'm very confident it'll handle it.
All right, rail, true.
Yep, true. So we're being true for the Manikato. If we get that 5 to 10 mil on Friday night, well, then that'll be just keep it in that good 4 range. And then hopefully if we don't get any rain Saturday, it'll just stay that good 4, maybe soft.
So good 4 to maybe a soft 6 or 7, depending on the rain, but the track will play nicely.
Yeah, worst case scenario, if we get the full amount of rain, it'll be in that soft range. And then if we get the lower side, then it'll be soft to good. So looking forward to it.
38 years, Red Anchor, the 3-year-old wins in 1984. How many Cox Plate winners have you tipped since?
Probably about 2. So
all right. Well,
not too well.
We take this with a grain of salt. Who wins this year?
I'm going to go Verry Elleegant.
Marty, thank you.
No, thanks.
Yes, thanks, Cam. I'm not really a lot clearer on how it's going to be, but I think one thing we don't want is too much rain while the meeting's on for the Manikato Stakes card, just to potentially open the track up a little bit. Although the next horse we're going to talk about, the mare, Verry Elleegant. I might go to you first this time, Matty. She would want a bit more rain.
No doubt. Well, if the trackman's saying it's going to be a soft 7 and you're a fan of Verry Elleegant, well, that's a good thing. I thought the run in the Turnbull was good enough. Needs the sting out. Last 5 times she's been beaten, 4 of the races have been above standard early pace-wise. So I think she needs it a bit more sedate early and she needs to get a bit back as well.
I love this mare. I love her because she's the crazy mad lady.
Well, she's a bit keen in work.
Crazy mad lady.
She is. You don't know what you're going to get. She's laden with ability, and yeah, she's the crazy mad lady that you walk past down the street and think, is that lady crazy? Yes, she's a bit crazy, but she might be able to run very fast. That's Verry Elleegant, and I would love to see her win this race. I'm not going to tip her, but I'd love to see her.
By the sound of it, she's the crazy auntie at a Christmas party. You can't help going and talking to her.
Yeah, very entertaining.
Well, earlier on, I caught up with the champion trainer, Chris Waller, about the chances of Verry Elleegant.
She just needs to prove herself around the valley. She went for a spin round there last Saturday. She seemed to get round it pretty well. She'll go once more prior to race day. So, look, we know she's good enough. She's coming off the back of a plain run, which is unusual for a good horse. Normally they don't have bad days, but she ran 4th. We found a few we just found that she was a bit flat. Soundness is good. Her appetite was a bit down on what it should be, and since then everything's back to normal. She's eating just as much now as she was going into the Caulfield Cup, which is more than what she was eating prior to a Turnbull. So as the good old horseman will tell you, the feed bin's the best sign. If you've got a clean feed bin each morning, your horse is thriving. So that's the phase that Verry Elleegant's in now.
Yeah, you probably were scratching your head a little bit after the Turnbull because things look beautiful in the run.
Yeah, we were. She had the run of the race. Damien Lane rode it perfectly, which is never easy with Verry Elleegant. In hindsight, they went a bit quicker, and maybe she was just a bit close, but he rode it perfectly, and there's certainly no excuses from there. And she actually pulled up fine. There was no difference with her for the first 3 or 4 days, but then later in the week, she just didn't bounce back like she normally would, and her blood was just starting to say that there were some signs of stress and she mightn't have been quite right. So I'm hoping that's all it is, because everything's back to 100% now and she's thriving. As I said, the food intake's really good, and that's a great sign, and she's well on the track as well.
You mentioned the valley and just needing to get around. It was a total forgive, that one Cox Plate and the one run she's had here, though, after she missed the start.
Yeah, she was a bit flat back then. Like, she was a young horse, and she's only just started to mature and be able to cope with the real pressure over the last 12 to 18 months. So I would genuinely be forgetting that. You've seen her form since then just go to a whole new level. So, yeah, I think she's a more mature, more tractable horse now, and she's ready for that Cox Plate pressure.
Is there one main danger? Little query over Zaki. Anamoe looked amazing in the Guineas.
Yeah, well, look, the Cox Plate's just such a different type of race, and fortunately, your good horses seem to excel in it. So she's been in that pressure situation before, and look, she runs a strong 2400, which I think is required, as the judges will tell you. So knowing that, she's had the 3 weeks between runs, a couple of trips to the valley, I'm pretty confident she could bounce back. So I'm not worried about anything else. There's a lot of other horses that have to lift as well. We've just got to make sure Verry Elleegant's at her best, and she'll be fighting out the finish.
Well, there's certainly a little bit of confidence there from Chris Waller, and you absolutely have to respect his sense of timing when it comes to these big races. Let's move on to the first of the internationals. To you first, Matty. State of Rest. Interesting. Has that Adelaide-like preparation to it?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it contested the absolute creme de la creme before running in the Invitational at Saratoga, but there was a lot to like about the performance there in America. Sat 3 or 4 back on the fence, and then once it got out in the straight, the turn of foot was really exciting. I'm not sure the strength of that Saratoga race. Obviously, there's a little bit of unknown quantity about that, and I'm worried about the form before it, but I respect the turn of foot. Apart from that, I'm a little bit at a loss.
It's a bit of a tricky one. It's a horse that I've followed really closely, having a close association with Star Spangled Banner, the father of this horse. And Star Spangled Banner, we know, was the sprinter who stretched to a mile. Can a son of Star Spangled Banner stretch to the Cox Plate trip? That's the query here. But
1900 metres last time and looked to be all out on the line, but the acceleration was stunning.
Correct. So if it's not a helter-skelter affair and there's not that pressure in there, again, comes back to Cam's speed map, which I'm really looking forward to getting to, I think this horse has got the turn of foot to put them away. Very classy. I know the Joseph O'Brien team were very quick on the phone to officials here at Moonee Valley saying, get us into the Ladbrokes Cox Plate. Whatever we got to do, late entry fees, booking motels, quarantine, whatever, let's get us there with this horse. So air of confidence coming from the stable is really strong. They've gone to a lot of trouble to get here. I'm warming to this horse.
So am I. I think State of Rest is a tremendous chance. Well, how is the race going to be run? And what does champion jockey Hugh Bowman think of his chances with Mounga? More after this break. Well, the burning question is, how will this Ladbrokes Cox Plate be run? And to find out more, let's go to Mr. Ladbrokes Lab himself, Cam, again. Cam, this is your favourite toy.
Hamo, I haven't been this excited since last week when we did the exact same thing on a different race, but I am pumped because 10 best horses, not just in Australia, with the internationals here as well. All right, we've got Anamoe from the outside. We'll get to him in a moment. Zaki and the international. We call him international.
Yeah, well, over the ditch.
Callsign Mav. Now, Callsign Mav, they're both going to go forward. So that'll be good here for J-Mac because he can just follow Callsign Mav and he can kind of get a bit of a trail on him.
We know that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I know what you want to do.
I'm busting for you to
ready?
Get to the bit.
This is where the race is. Look at that. Captivant, the 3-year-old Mytho. Tell me about what you think he might do before I let loose on what the Ladbrokes Lab are telling us.
Well, I've got a theory, and my theory is that these 3-year-olds, their ability to win a Ladbrokes Cox Plate is by using their weight by going forward. And it's happened, we've seen it with So You Think, we've seen it with Seamus Award. We saw Savabeel sit up on speed, which wasn't necessarily his racing pattern through his career. It is the weight advantage going forward that wins you a race if you're a 3-year-old in the Ladbrokes Cox Plate. Captivant, interestingly, they picked barrier 1. Now, why do you do that if you're going to go and settle back, which is his natural racing pattern?
You don't.
They don't. So it goes forward at all costs, and I don't know, I'm really interested in where you've got them settling, and then I'll pick it to pieces.
So this is interesting because these two, I know Luke Nolan said on radio, he's like, oh, you know, if Callsign Mav doesn't have to lead, I don't think that will turn out to be the case. He is a horse that gets a bit eager, as is Zaki, as we did see a couple of weeks ago, Matty, as you mentioned. So
you've got Callsign Mav leading, have you?
I've got Zaki winning the race, which I'm going to explain either which way shortly. But if Captivant, as we go out of the straight in the race, Dean Yendall can go, I'm going to make these horses work, all right? Yeah. So he's going to use the lightweight. And if these horses really want to eyeball each other and get up on the bit and get too
right
keen,
on the speed,
then all of a sudden Dean Yendall might go, you know what? I'll do what Savabeel did in, 2004 and sit off these two horses to take the speed. Now, if he chooses to keep pushing forward, I think J-Mac can take the sit here and be right on the back of them because, as you said, you've got to use the light weight to make up for the lack of toughness that these 3-year-olds may have because they haven't been in this high-intensity race just yet.
But does Craig Williams do that with Anamoe then?
Now, as you know, we're in the Ladbrokes Lab a couple of weeks ago. I said, Damien Oliver, you're braver than I am. Go forward. He went back and still won fairly comfortably, but I think...
That was against the 3-year-olds,
It was. So I don't think... Exactly the same theory. I know it's drawn awkwardly, but you can't be sitting back here. You can't expect Anamoe to go with Verry, Elleegant, even a Moonga, these couple of internationals, probably. You can't expect him to do it. Unless he turns into a So You Think and goes on to win 12 Group 1s, he won't be able to do it. So the thing is, if Captivan pushes forward with Yendall, Callsign Mav goes there, I think Craig Williams just goes straight out here and sits or tries to sit outside Zaki. Now, I think J-Mac might be, this is where it gets complicated because I think J-Mac might go, I don't want to get buried on the fence.
No.
So I'm going to sit behind whatever horse and whatever rump I can get, be it Callsign Mav. And if it's he that keeps going forward, not dissimilar to what Brett Preble did last week. He said at the 800, I'm just going to get off the back and I'm just going to let this horse roll. So I don't think Craig Williams will be able to play jockey, but I do think he'll be able to go forward and kind of find a bit of a spot. Probably will push forward, Dalasan as well. Moonga will try and get off the fence. Very elegant. I know you're not overly concerned about what she did in the Turnbull. It was an incredibly fast-run race, and, well, she's the champion racehorse of the year, so I'll give her an A-OK for one bad performance. But I think she'll be ridden a bit colder today.
Oh, she will be.
I think she'll go a fair way back. Moonga, I loved his run in the mile. I think weight got him, but I think he's a huge opportunity at those odds to run a nice race. And State of Rest, it'll be interesting. I heard, you know, the 2,000 metres, the question mark. If it's a ridiculously run race, I think it's going to test him. But I'll get to Gold Trip in a minute when we talk about him in a split second. But I think either Captivan pushes up and leads with Callsign Mav, or Callsign Mav leads and Zaki sits at his girth. But I think Anamoe, I'd be stunned if Anamoe went back and won the Cox Plate. Hit me. Come on, Mithen.
It just looked like too much fun.
It is.
State of Rest is the one. State of the Rest is... It's going to be within striking distance, electric turn of foot. I'll wait for my tip. I'll keep everyone on ice, but I just wanted to touch the screen and use the toys. And
you know what? Look
can I do a bit of this as well?
Hey,
and then this one there. And
it's great.
I reckon.
And could Gold Trip run right off the track?
Well, I tell you, with Gold Trip,
first time round the valley.
I'll say one thing. I'm going to just write quickly. I don't know if anyone can read. That's what I'm going to go with Gold Trip. Maybe not to win it, but really, in the end, it's just a big question mark and I can't wait for it.
The answer is a pineapple.
Absolutely love it. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Gold Trip. And that's the burning question, Matt, isn't it? The 2,000 metres. So most are saying, you know, that run in the Pretus and Clue indicated perhaps Gold Trip's a Melbourne Cup horse, not a Cox Plate horse.
Only in the fact that it really made up ground at the end of that trip in a slowly run race. That was the race won by Broome, who'd run well in a Group 1 the start before. I think if they do go silly, Gold Trip can get into the race. Ran fourth in an arc, so we're not talking about a mug here. And I reckon at a double-figure price, I noted you squeezed it into a single-figure price there moments ago, but I think for a horse against this opposition, has to be respected.
And what about this wonderful mare, Probabeel? We know the class she's got. You know, unless there's an absolute deluge, it looks like she's going to line up here rather than wait for Flemington.
And I think she'll get a decent run, judging by what Cam's just done. Everyone's going to be jostling and moving. Probabeel should be fourth, fifth, get a really decent run. What has she actually done wrong? Probably her runs at Moonee Valley have been below par. I reckon that's the question mark. She has won at the Trip previously, but look, she's just... You know, consistently gone stride for stride with nonconformist, who runs second in a Caulfield Cup over Zaki. What has she done wrong?
Forgotten horse for mine, for sure. And do not leave her out of any of your multiples.
We've talked a lot about Captivant. Probably just a quick yes or no as far as a winning hope goes.
Oh, look, they're all winning hopes in some respects, but I think you're right. I think they'll try and use the weight and try and tactically win the Cox Plate. I think it'll keep going. It'll battle it out. Deserves to have its place, but I don't think it'll win.
Could anyone have predicted that a capitalist first crop would win a Cox Plate? No one would have, a Golden Slipper winner, but maybe if it uses that lightweight, Dean Yendall gets it all his own way in front, might be in it for a long way.
Yeah, it was a terrific run in the Guineas. Well, after this break, we're going to catch up with Hugh Bowman about the chances of Mounga.
I've got 3 going at once. I've got 4. Add up to 4 runners to a same race multi and watch your potential payout increase.
Ladbroke it this Cox Plate Carnival with a same race multi. Gamble responsibly.
Well, we need our own speed map of Cam Luke because he's left the Ladbrokes Lab. Now he's outside the Ladbrokes Lounge with Moonee Valley CEO Michael Growell.
Michael, big week, but a little bit of sadness. No fans on track come Friday and Saturday.
Incredibly disappointing. We've got close, but I think we're going to miss by 1 week. Clearly, with the vaccination rates heading where they are, the 80% target looks like being achieved on the 30th or the 31st of October. We were hoping that at 70% double backs, we could have 5,000 people here, but it hasn't worked out that way.
Look, it's going to be a huge night, Friday night, and a huge day Saturday. It's a remarkable 24 hours and one that just really, Group 1 into Group 1 just leads to so much excitement.
It is. The club's been doing this now for 8 years, and you know, the carnival certainly was building, and the peak was through the Winx 3, Winx 4 period. But disappointing again that we're not going to have people on track, but can tune in now through Channel 7 on the Saturday, Racing.com Sky Channel, and of course our 2 radio partners in SEN Track and RSN. So punters will be able to enjoy a fabulous carnival from home.
All right, I'm not even sure this is legal, but I'm going to ask you anyway. You got a tip?
At this stage, I'd be leaning towards the 3-year-old Guineas winner, Anamoe. He's drawn gate 10. I just think he might be something quite special and expecting him to put in a big run here on Saturday.
Now, when we get back on track, in fact, remember the old 2040 nightclub that used to be here?
It's now the Ladbrokes Lounge.
It is. Can we get it even longer? I wouldn't mind seeing 3M finishes here after a Friday night. Is that possible?
It'll be all right, wouldn't it? No, this place was normally pumping, and the deck out here on Cox Plate Day, we just can't wait. And 12th of November, it looks like we'll have people back on track.
We can't wait either, mate. Enjoy the weekend.
Terrific. Thank you.
The 2040 nightclub. Cam Luke, he's on fire, and he took his speed maps. He even had time to get into the telephone box and put the jacket on between segments. That's amazing.
He knows every nook and cranny of this track. There's no doubt about it.
Talk about elite racing, elite work from Hamo in the days of 2040 nightclub too. Don't worry.
Yeah, it was my backyard. There's no doubt about that. On a serious note, though, what a tough couple of years it's been for the Valley.
Oh, look, and they talk about one of the great roars in racing is when the field leaves the stalls in the Ladbrokes Cox Plate. So for that to happen again in silence is very sad indeed. But I tell you what, when we do get back to having crowds, as you have touched on, Mitho, it's going to be huge.
I'm taking all my mates to Club 2040, Ladbrokes Lounge, whatever it is. In fact, can I write that into the contract? I want the Ladbrokes Lounge for Cox Plate Day, Ladbrokes Cox Plate Day 2022.
I reckon we can find a corner for you somewhere, though, anyway. Well, let's move on now, have a look at the chances of Mounga going into this.
Interesting horse, good run in the Epsom. Probably 2,000 metres is going to be up the horse's alley. It was a really good run the start before at Flemington. Hugh Bowman's got an element of bullishness about him. Has he just got that? Is he just a tier under the class factor to win a Cox Plate? That's the question mark for me.
We definitely find out here, don't we? Because he's a Group 1 winner and he's a lovely horse and you'd love to own him, and good luck to the Aquis team. They put a lot in and raced a lot of horses. Yeah, whether he's got that class to end up on that honour roll, which is just spectacular, by the way. We haven't made comment of the trophy and the podium it now sits on, the Cox Plate of 2021. Does Moonga's name sit on that honour roll? I'm not so sure.
Now we go and join Hugh Bowman, who's been good enough to join us as he prepares to get down here for Ladbrokes Cox Plate Day. Hugh, what a special week it's been to you over many, many years. You must get a bit of a tingle as the big race gets closer.
Yeah, Adam. Hi, guys. How are you? Yeah, it's certainly one race that is close to my heart, of course, for obvious reasons, and to be able to come and compete in it again next year and what I consider to be a genuine winning chance is very exciting indeed.
Huey, that doesn't really look like the salubrious surrounds of your Sydney abode. Where exactly are you? And just talk us through the last few days and this most unusual build-up to riding in the Ladbrokes Cox Plate.
Yeah, Mitho, it's been a bit of it's changing by the day, and it's not just the Racing Victoria's protocols that need to be met. It's also Racing Victoria, Racing New South Wales for returning to ride in the Golden Eagle next Saturday, and also the government regulations, which do seem to be easing by the day now. But there's been a lot of red tape and hoops to jump through to get to this stage, and we're currently, or James McDonald and I are currently self-isolating in regional Victoria, and we will make our way down there on Saturday for the one and only WS Cox Plate.
So is it sort of Netflix and chill most nights for this week?
Well, we got down Sunday, so that was a requirement. We had a COVID test, which we're just awaiting for clearance there. And once that'll be all systems go, we'll be able to get out and about and do a bit of training and maybe play some golf and just sort of it'll free things up for us. But we're just isolating at the minute. I'm James's friend's house we're staying at, so I've got the mower out and mowed the lawn yesterday. I don't think I mowed a lawn since I was back at the farm in Dunedoo. So it's taken us back in time. But it's a lovely place and it's been pretty quiet so far. But we're both looking forward to the big day on Saturday.
So he's a horse, Moonga, that needs to ambush late, needs speed on in its races, Hugh. So how do you think the map's going to sort itself out? J-Mac's going to have a little bit to do about that. You've been talking to him about that overnight.
Well, Annabelle's got the two in the race and he's the pacemaker and I'll be coming late to swoop and swamp them all. He's going to appreciate a bit more giving the ground. But, I've got no doubt that Moonga can really figure in this race. I think otherwise I wouldn't have gone through all the effort to get down there. It's not a case like normal years of just hopping on a plane and going down. It's been a bit of an effort, not only by me, but there's been a lot of people behind the scenes helping make that happen. So very appreciative of that. And it's a wonderful race and it's an open edition. I truly believe it's probably the most open Cox Plate we've seen for some years, and very excited to be involved.
Is there one main danger, as open as it looks on paper?
Well, I think personally, Very Elleegant and of course Zaki do stand out, and I know they're both coming off defeats, but you just can't go beyond what they're capable of doing. So, I have a huge respect for them both, and I think Zaki personally might be just a bit more suited around Moonee Valley, but, he's not going to have a picnic like he did when he was racing dominantly in Queensland. He's going to have a lot of pressure put upon him in this Saturday's race. So he's going to have to show he can cope with that, and he's yet to do that. So it's going to be an interesting race, and Very Elleegant. I thought I had a cold in last year's Caulfield Cup, so I have a very, very healthy respect for her. I know how tough she is. If she's in the hunt, she'll win. So whether or not she can get herself into that winning position remains to be seen, but if she gets there, she'll be the one to beat.
Well, good on you, Hugh. Thanks so much for joining us. The race is certainly a lot richer for you guys, being able to make the trip down from New South Wales to be part of it. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thanks very much. Looking forward to it. See you guys.
From Moonga and Hugh Bowman, we move on to Callsign Mav. Matty, any hope?
Look, I think a place chance. I think the map's interesting. If Captivant's going to try and use its weight advantage as a 3-year-old, it's probably a little bit sticky for Callsign Mav, but you've got to respect a dual Group 1 winner from over the ditch.
I like this horse a bit. I've had a look at the replays and refreshed my memory. Group 1's its last 2 starts, and before
winner
that...
of 3 Group 1s over there.
Only had 1 start at 2,000 metres, and interestingly, sat in behind him, didn't have a lot of luck in the straight, got out late after having momentum stymied in the straight, and really burst late and was strongest through the line to run 3rd. So I was a bit of a worry about the trip until I saw that replay at Group 2 level in New Zealand, so it's got to be tempered, but I've got it somewhere in the finish.
I was just going to say how racing's changed. If this was 20 years ago, we would have been giving this horse a mighty chance, and the horse that won at Saratoga would have been out the back. Yeah. How things have changed.
Yeah, it's terrific, isn't it? All right, from Callsign Mav, what about Dalasan? I think all of us have... It's nice that Dalasan's in this race. Terrific run up there in Sydney.
No doubt. I think the problem with Dalasan is we've never really been able to get a grip on what type of horse Dalasan is. I always thought he was a miler most of his career, and then he's dabbled with the 6 furlong races like the Newmarket. You're right, good run last time. Great to have him in the Cox Plate, but I think he's unders.
Keeps overachieving, doesn't he, Dalasan, and putting himself in pictures and places to perhaps win a race like this. He's done it again here. It won't be a shock.
Well, let's find out the tips and the latest betting from our man back in the lab. Cam?
Don't know how many coming back. 2040 club for a beer, and here I am. But anyway, Zaki still your 280 favourite at Ladbrokes. Anamoe at 420, Verry Elleegant at 750. I think all the no talk about Verry Elleegant for a couple of days will now start to propel to a bit more talk. I think she'll be a bit shorter come race day. Gold Trip and State of Rest around the $9 mark. Probably at 15. Captivant, what will Dean Yendall do and change the race? We spoke about it. 17s. Moonga the same. Dalasan at 34. And Callsign Mav at $51, but has got 3 Group 1s under his belt, as you touched on, Mitho. So a little bit of value there for the Kiwi. Let's get to the tips.
Well, you've been on fire this carnival. You've nailed every big race that matters. May it continue.
You said it, but he's right. Zaki, I just think he wins.
Look at the confidence,
yeah,
mate.
I'm 5 out of 5. I know Annabelle Neesham probably doesn't like me saying this. I'm happy he got beat last start because we're getting a price now, and I just think we'll get a nice run in race. J-Mac seems to ride him a little bit better. I think it was a combination of Craig Williams, and the ride wasn't incredible, but I don't think he enjoyed the track, and I think he's going to enjoy Moonee Valley a hell of a lot more. So, well, I'm on the Annabelle Neesham bandwagon, to be fair, because I think Moonga can run a nice race at around the $17 mark. But Zaki, 5 out of 5 for me.
Matty?
I'm with Cam. I like Zaki as well. The little confidence meter's just ticked back a little bit, 1 notch, only because the way the horse lugged in at Sandown. It's obviously a horse with some quirks, and Moonee Valley worries me in that sense. But I think it's a really dangerous thing to overanalyse a race that was run at no pace whatsoever. Rubiton was famously beaten in a Caulfield Stakes before winning a Cox Plate. I think Zaki will do it. I don't think the map's too complicated for him. I think he's the best horse in the race. Best roughie's Gold Trip. I can't get past the fact that he ran 4th in an arc, and that's got to be good enough for a Cox Plate.
Mitho?
Yeah, look, I'm going for I suppose the horse with the question mark, State of Rest. What do we get here? We know we get a horse with an electric turn of foot. If the race is run to suit, and that is the big if about this horse, and it's not too truly run, and he can sit off the pace, sprint when asked, I think State of Rest can do it for the Irish, the Americans.
You're a real provocateur here. Look at this, and your best roughie, the outsider of the field.
I'm a man of international mystery, Adam, and Callsign Mav. I just really liked doing the form last night and having a look at replays of Callsign Mav. Might be underestimated and sneak under guards, and that's what we're about, trying to find a roughie. Let's find one at a price. Callsign Mav will do.
I love it.
Well, I'm going to go with a 3-year-old because I think he's a potential champion, Anamoe, and I thought that was a win of arrogance in the Caulfield Guineas. Little concerned about where he's going to be in the run, but I'm with him, and that's why the confidence meter is about halfway around at the 3. I haven't got the strut that Cam's got about him at the moment. And I'm with you as far as State of Rest being a major player. The more I look at the replays, that change-up speed, that acceleration off a soft trip is absolutely dangerous. Cam, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Hamo. It's been fun.
Great to have had you on board, Matty.
Terrific. Thanks to be great to be here. Fantastic.
And you, Mitho, always part of the Ladbrokes family.
I'm just really looking forward to Saturday, seeing the Ladbrokes Cox Plate unfold, and wherever you are around the country, around Victoria, around Melbourne, which has done it so hard, our thoughts with all the racing fans out there. We've got a little way to go before we get back on track. We can't wait.
Yeah, well said. Well, we hope you enjoyed our preview of the Ladbrokes Cox Plate. Enjoy the 101st running.